welcome to Jurassic Park 3 Minute, where we're discussing the second Jurassic Park sequel one minute at a time. I'm Brad.
I'm Dave.
And today we're back to discuss minute 42 of Jurassic Park 3. Before we get to that, David over on Jurassic-pedia.com, contributor Sickle Claw has put up a new article for the Jeep Grand Wagoneer, which was seen at the end of Fallen Kingdom with Maisie, Owen, and don't know what I was going to say, Charlie. Claire.
Claire.
Yeah. Driving up the coastline, which once again the Pteranodon's flying to finish off one of these Jurassic films. So that's a new article on Jurassic-pedia.com. Head over there and see what Sickle Claw's written up about it. A lot of information about the vehicle itself, and its appearance in the film.
The Wagoneer is actually kind of an interesting vehicle. It almost looks like a station wagon to me, if you will.
Yep, they've taken a station wagon and made it 4x4, four-wheel drive.
Stick to the plan. Head for the coast.
You're not going to look for Dr. Grant?
Going to the coast was Alan's idea. If he's alive, that's where he's headed.
I agree.
All right, ready to go on 42.
Yeah.
As we enter at 41 of Jurassic Park 3, the group had ran into the open field amongst the hadrosaur herd. Billy had fallen over and dropped his camera bag, but Grant had found it and picked it up before continuing on. At the 5-second mark, we cut back to the edge of the jungle as the velociraptors enter the field at full stride, blur to the camera. Grant spots the forest at the edge of the clearing and yells to the others, into the trees. Udesky turns to see where he's talking about and comedically falls over, doing a backward flip. As he tumbles and gets back to his feet, he unclips his backpack and drops it to the ground, leaving behind any of the last supplies he may have carried. At the 20-second mark, he runs into the jungle as we cut to Paul and Amanda, also in the jungle, and they begin to climb a large tree in front of them. At the 28-second mark, we cut back to Udesky as he continues to run through the jungle, separated from the others. He runs through a small stream, and then a hiss stops him dead in his tracks as he sees his face-to-face with a velociraptor. At the 35-second mark, we cut back to Paul as he breaches the canopy of the tree, and Udesky's screams fill the jungle, and he mouths, Udesky. At the 38-second mark, we cut back to Udesky crawling along the ground, as his raptor walks up behind him and puts its foot on his back, digging its claw into his spine. At the 48-second mark, we cut to Billy running through the jungle. He stops dead as he sees a raptor in front of him, and backs up and puts his body up against a tree. The raptor turns and barks and runs off into the jungle, unaware that Billy was so close. And as the minute ends, Billy yells out to Paul, "Mr. Kirby," and asks, "Is Grant with you?" As when last minute, we're still running amongst the stampede of hadrosaurs. Billy's got back to his feet and realises he's missing his bag, and the hadrosaurs continue to stampede around him, yet no one gets hit or stomped on. But we cut back to two of the raptors charging into the field here, and I remember, I don't know if it was Joe Johnson or Kathleen Kennedy saying during behind the scenes of just how much they wanted to show the raptors getting out in the open and actually running, because we've heard the stories, we've heard the warnings since all the way back at Jurassic Park of these things get out in the open and they can run down a human, they can run down anything, and sadly, we do get a couple scenes like that in the Lost World novel, but they never made it to the film itself, apart from them sort of coming in and ambushing the hunters in the grass. But sadly, we don't get a lot here either.
No. Which is actually kind of a shame because, I mean, Muldoon, we get, like you said, we get that quote from Muldoon, if you get it good out in the open, cheetah speed, 50, 60 miles per hour, you know?
Yeah, I suppose we do in Jurassic World, we do get them chasing Claire driving the Unimog, but it's dark, it's night time, they can hide a bit there, which is understandable. And
well, to be fair, the scene from the Lost World had been dark as well. It was a night scene where Kelly and Sarah are riding a motorcycle chasing after the raptors, which we sort of got from in Jurassic World, but it wasn't the same. Yeah, you know, it's the same stakes.
That's just about as much of a stretch as the Avery coming up's directly from the original Jurassic Park as well. It sort of is, but there's some big differences, but we'll get there. And yeah, like, no, yes, as much as we love The Lost World, that when that raptor leaps in the air and flies through the air and it's sort of only lit by the torch, it's not the best CG there either.
No.
if we're going to be honest.
No, I love that. I love that part. I love that part of the long grass scene. That's probably one of my most favorite kills.
I love they put it in there, and I'm just saying, like, it's a good thing it's night time, because it looked probably even worse during the day. But I suppose it's just because of the speed. There's a famous story of when they done Demolition Man with Wesley Snipes and Stallone. They actually, with all the fight scenes and choreography, they actually had to get Wesley Snipes to slow down his punches and that because it was too fast for the camera. And I think it's sort of the same thing here, where you got animals moving at that speed, especially when the camera's in close. It's going to be sort of a bit of a blur to make them seem fast. And like, you could have had a bit of a long shot here. We've seen back when they first went into the Embryonics Administration building, that raptor running through open air. I don't know how it was that high to be running past those windows, but we didn't really talk about that in that minute. But yeah, just how fast it was running there. And here you want to get that visual of just the stiff tail behind balancing the animals. It's sort of in full speed, but it's not. It's unfortunate. This is the best we get of them running. Grant looks over at the stand of trees and yells for him to head over to the trees, and Udesky gets turned around by the animal and gets a bit too close and does that sort of backward flip into the grass, but a little backward roll into the grass, but he sort of gets to his feet immediately and takes off his backpack and throws it to the ground and starts running again, so he's pretty much ditching the last bit of survival gear he's got on him.
Which is unfortunate, coming up soon in this minute.
Yeah, but we cut to Amanda and Paul running into the trees. How those two are the first ones to get, I suppose because they're the only two that didn't fall over. So they run into the trees, and then Billy blurs past with them, and Udesky seems to follow behind, but Amanda and Paul find the biggest tree they can find and start to climb, which, a good little scene here, I'm sort of running up to the base of this tree and just starting to climb up the vines on the side of it.
And now the Kirby's running, and they kind of get separated from Billy in a way in this shot when you see them running towards the tree line. That mountain in the background is actually one of the ones that appears throughout all. I know not all four, but three of the five.
Give it a year and you'll be saying 3 to 6.
Yeah, and 3 of the 6 are. Come on, man.
Well, it will be 3 to 6. So. Well, let's just go full episode 9 and say 3 to 9. We'll see what next trilogy they want to bring up in this franchise.
Well, anyway, this mountain range appears in most of Jurassic Park movies.
I love the films.
Of this record. Is you can see behind Alan Grant in the Jeep in the first movie, and then you can see it again in this movie, and then it appears again during the gyrosphere in Jurassic World.
Oh.
In this movie, it's kind of featured most prominently because you can also see it again when they're running for the aviary overlook there, and when they're passing by the grazing brachiosaurus that come up to the boat.
Yeah.
Later in the movie.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny that you can just see that they filmed most of the exterior shots in this Kahili Ranch Valley here.
And this also would be a bit of a transition too, from going from the plane into this jungle, because this would be back on the set, wouldn't it? Before this tree time stuff.
They run into the trees, which I suspect aren't actually trees. It's just a tree line.
Yeah.
Not actually back into the forest. And then we see them climbing up onto what is obviously a set.
Yeah. Which is nothing new. We've already talked about this minute. We talked about last minute with just the group, Malcolm, that running through the long grass and just running into that small stand of trees at the end of the grass and it transitioning straight into that little slippery slippery mountain range they built at the back of the backlot there somewhere. But Udesky seems to take a different path here, running through a small stream before a snap stops him in his tracks, snarl, and looks ahead, scared as we cut to Paul's face as Udesky's screams fills the jungle.
I think it's interesting because we actually do. I think that the set foliage here is a lot better than what we just saw in the previous shot. It's obviously probably using the same prop house set, but it seems to be more realistic. It has the vines covering the trees, and it has just fallen logs and foliage everywhere. And I think it just feels a lot more Jurassic in a way than what we see previously. And then, we see not Nedry. Where's my game tonight? We see Udesky running through the set over a stream, and then like you said, we hear the snap, and then we hear a snarling hiss. It kind of stops him dead in his tracks.
And I don't know about him, but if it was me, I think a little bit of poo would come out right about then, like knowing that a raptor's there. And again, we don't see what happens to him. We only hear that scream that fills the jungle, and Paul sort of whispers Udesky's name.
Unfortunate, because this is actually the spot of a deleted scene.
Yeah, there's not many in this film because they need to use everything they shot, but.
And they really should not have deleted this, because this is probably one of the coolest deleted scenes in this franchise. Is Udesky takes on the raptors with a fallen stick.
There are some production photos of him holding that old stick slash log. I think it's about 2.5, 3 inches round, so it's a big stick.
Yeah, it's a very big stick, and unfortunately, I think he takes a whack at one of them, and then he just keeps swinging, and I don't know if we actually see what happens to cause him to lose, but we see the end result in the end of the film.
We read about it in a minute because it's in the script what exactly happens. But yeah, we get to see these puppet legs running across the jungle, which it just shows you how much we've come since Jurassic Park, where we had the legs in the kitchen. Now we've got sort of these here. Again, there's tons of photos set and behind the scenes of the puppeteer in this rig on set.
No, these come very, very far, or we've come very, very far with these legs here. In the first film, they were required this whole thing to keep them up, which was then attached to a track, which they would film between the legs or from the side. You never really got to see this like they did in this movie. Even The Lost World, they had to have a small crane with wires on the legs to keep it upright. Here, I think it was you could hold it upright with two guys as they moved along with the actor.
Yeah, and it's not the actor's full weight on the feet here. He can just sort of pretty much walk on water, do the motions as they sort of move him along.
And I think it was John Rosengrant every time.
Yeah.
I mean, John Rosengrant has a history of being stuffed into raptor suits in the Jurassic Park movies.
Well, it sort of shows here too. That's one of the biggest things that sort of show it, that there's some guy's weight on it with the kitchen, and even I brought it up in The Lost World where that raptor's on top of the kiln house or the boarding house as well, and going for Sarah there, you can see when the puppet, because the claws come up off the ground just by the weight of the puppeteer. The feet don't look natural on the ground, but here it just looks fantastic.
Yeah,
even knowing what the behind the scenes are and knowing that it's some guy running.
And it's the only thing that I don't quite think looked as realistic as it did in Jurassic Park is the movement of the muscles here.
Yeah, yep.
As you can kind of see those human-like calf muscles on the back of the raptor's leg, and it just, I don't know, maybe it's just decades of looking at real dinosaur legs, or I don't know, but the human-like calf muscles just don't, I don't know, they don't work for me anymore. The rest of it looks great. I mean, I love when we get the next shot here of the raptors putting his foot down and shoving Udesky down into the mud, and you can see the close-up on the claws there. before the raptor impales it with its big, terrible claw there.
Mm. Yeah, and again, like, it's just great. Like, kind of takes 5 or 6 steps, comes across to where Udesky's on the ground trying to crawl away, and just puts its foot on his back and just sinks that claw into his back. Now, oh no, it's not, because we get. I was going to say, is it a kill shot? But no, we get what happens next minute. But yeah, that claw goes into his back, and he sort of screams again. I think that's his. That's probably his backbone and use of his legs and that gone.
At least his lungs being punctured, if not what you said.
Yeah, yep. But again, like before we mentioned, as he's crawling, you can see there's an injury to the rear of his leg. And it brings up the question what happened, but we'll get to that in a minute with the script. And
I just noticed for the first time watching this movie how old is this movie? What, 18 years old? For nearly 20 years, I never noticed there was another raptor hidden back in the foliage behind the raptor that is basically doing his business to Udesky.
Oh, okay.
You never actually see him in focus, but you can definitely see there's another raptor there.
Yeah. I noticed that last night when I was watching it. I see that raptor over there. But as he screams, the big female looks at the male and then turns to face the camera, sort of doing that raptor purr. And we cut to Billy running, then stops dead as the raptor appears ahead of him, and he sort of pauses, realising it's looking the other way. And then Billy leaps towards the tree and is it Billy or is it Grant?
No, that's Billy.
Oh, it is Billy, yeah.
He goes and climbs up the tree himself.
Yeah.
And thankfully the raptor never notices him because he hides behind a tree really quickly, and then the raptor runs off. Yeah, it's that little bit of a Looney Tune thing here where it's looking the other way and listening to the calls from the female on that, and as it turns, just before it turns, he runs over and puts his body up against the tree, and the raptor sort of turns and runs away. There's that Looney Tunes-like moment from Nedry and the Dilophosaurus in the first movie, where he hears the Dilophosaurus make that little cooing sound, and then he looks behind the tree and it's not there. The Dilophosaurus pops his head out on the other side of the tree, and then they switch. Oh, that's nice. Gotta go. Well, there you go. You finally brought up Nedry for a good reason, and I'm not just calling you Udesky Nedry. But up in the tree, Amanda and Paul take a moment and then they hear Billy yelling out Mr. Kirby, and they yell out Billy's name in response, and as the minute ends, Billy asks, "Is Alan with you?" Again, we've never seen Alan sort of leave that field, and he's definitely not here with these three or Udesky on the ground. So next minute we get to see him run in the jungle by himself and sort of do what he does natural and start to do a bit of research looking at the animals as they're sort of looking for him, and he's sort of hidden there. And we also get the end of Udesky next minute as well. But anything else on that you want to discuss before we get into the novel? I think we're good. All right. As Amanda and Paul start climbing the tree, a raptor leaps, barely missing Paul's feet as they climb. So by the time they get to these trees and start to climb up, the raptor's already caught up to them, which isn't seen in the film. I suppose it's interesting. Oh, maybe Udesky was just the last one, and that's why they went after him. I just wonder if it's them sort of wanting to more thin the pack out, going for the weakest or the slowest. Well, that is kind of typical predator hunting behavior when they typically try to, as Owen says in Jurassic World, they pick out a kill zone, and they herd their prey into that specific zone.